Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Discover North Korea. If you're a long-time listener, then you may have noticed a bit of a difference in the opening music today. This is a special episode for the Pyongyang International Film Festival that's being held in Pyongyang in October this year. And that music was from the opening ceremony in 2012, which, if you're watching on YouTube, you will be able to see. I'm going to play the full 1 minute clip shortly before I introduce my guest, Nick Bonner. He's been on the podcast once before. He is the founder and director of Koryo Tours, the tour company that I work for when taking tours to North Korea. He also has extensive experience in the film industry and the art world surrounding all things North Korea. He's quite an expert, actually, and no introduction that I could give him would do it justice. Have a quick Google of him, and he's quite proliferous in the industry, and he's a fabulous man and gives us a lot of very interesting insight into the Pyongyang International Film Festival. So I won't take up too much time in this introduction, but what I will say is that if you do have the opportunity to watch this visually, then do go ahead. Me and Nick are chatting via a beautiful Zoom call that does get interrupted in the middle, so I apologize for that, but there will be a couple of visuals throughout. Basically every time I mention that, oh, I will try and put something over this, I do, in fact. So there's that there. It only happens a couple of times. If you are only listening, you're not going to miss out too much. Don't worry. Thank you again to my patrons who support me through all of my endeavors and saying I'll do things and then I don't, and who have supported me for this long throughout the channel. You guys know who you are. Thank you so much. For anyone who wants to go to any of the links that I mention in this podcast, they are all in the show notes, hopefully. Do feel free to comment on the podcast. If I did miss a link off, please do let me know. And if there's anything else that you'd like to know, any questions that have gone unanswered from this episode, then do let me know. I'll probably put a couple of clips out on Instagram. I always answer all my direct messages on Instagram, so feel free to put your questions to me and I'll pass them on to Nick if I can't answer them myself. So without further ado, let's get back to the opening ceremony and welcome our guest, Nick Bonner. Hello, Nick.
Thank you. Hello.
How are you doing? You know, the last time that you were on this podcast, we were chatting about Aim High in Creation, which I think Koryo Studio recently re-released, and then it was back on Vimeo.
Yeah, it's on Vimeo now. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that was the last time we spoke.
Okay.
So it's a good long ago at this point, good while ago. And recently there was also another movie released on Vimeo, right?
That's right. Centre Forward, the classic. As Simon Cockerell said, probably North Korea's best ever football film ever made. The only one, but also the best.
I was going to say, isn't it? I don't know if any other football films made. It's a great film. It's super sweet, actually. I rewatched it recently when it's back on Vimeo. It's a great little film.
It is. It's a good story. It's got humour in it. It's got there's sort of a guy in the football crowd, and the football hits him, and his hat flies off, including his wig. And there's bits.
I love that, and the crowd laugh at him.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's great.
There's also another bit that's excellent where the guys are making a joke, And then the woman says something like, "Oh no, don't be silly. He can't fly." And then the guys are like, "Yeah, I know. We were only joking." And then the
Yeah,
woman's
yeah.
like,
Yeah, no, no,
so
it's good. It's
silly.
good. It's got it's actually got a story amongst the political sort of sort
Yeah,
of baggage that it's selling to you, but it's actually,
yeah.
yeah, well worth a
Yeah,
watch.
definitely. All right. Well, I'll put that in the show notes for anyone that wants to watch it. It's on Vimeo at the moment. But today we want to talk about something very exciting that's happening in just over a month,
Yeah.
in Pyongyang, which is the Pyongyang International Film Festival. It's been going on since 1987, I
It
believe.
has. It used before 2002. It was the festival for what was it for non-aligned countries and non-aligned and other developing countries, which
A
is
real
probably
mouthful.
the state of Britain at the moment. But but then 2002 it was became international. When we say international, international, but slight limitations on films from certain countries. Having said that, there have been has been an American film and I think a Japanese film is shown. So yeah, it's
Really, this year,
no, no,
or
not this
just in
year.
general?
In the past,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, I see.
And when
And
Americans were allowed into the country, we had American filmmakers over, so that was quite a wild time. But
cool.
sadly, no longer.
So maybe you can just give us a very, very brief and a very dummies guide to the Pyongyang International Film Festival in just a couple of sentences, because I
Yeah.
think, I mean, it's just a normal film festival in North Korea, right?
Yeah, it's like the cans of the East.
Right?
It's basically, yeah, and if you're a filmmaker, you submit your film, you get invited. They don't cover your flight costs, but when you get all your landed costs covered for you and a member of the crew or cast, what have you. And then they screen your film, and the tickets are bought by the public at various places throughout Pyongyang. So it's for Pyongyang citizens. It's open for Pyongyang citizens. It isn't a sort of cadres thing where what people would like to say, oh, it's just for the privileged few. It's for those who live in Pyongyang, and that's a sort of city of over 2.5 million. And if a film's popular, like Bend It Like Beckham was, it gets seen by 12,000 people. If it's not popular, and I've seen, been to cinemas where there's just a few, a trickle of people, um, as a filmmaker, it's a bit of a you're almost treated like a tourist. You're taken around the sites, etc. And what we've been trying to do with the festival is sort of get Q&As because we help basically bring foreign films in, and I'm trying to push to improve the festival in respect that it follows just the more international film festivals where you get to interact with the crowd, you get to meet actors and actresses, etc. But yeah, it's an amazing time. It's I've been to every single film festival since 2002, and we've had
Wow,
I think 4 or 5 films accepted there. So
that's
that's pretty good.
incredible. So I'm gonna get back to the Bend It Like Beckham thing because I don't want to get off track a little bit, but that is just fascinating. But maybe you can tell me a little bit about your involvement in the film festival over the years, Koryo Studio's involvement in the film festival over the years, and also how it's changed kind of and evolved since you started going in 2002.
Yeah. So has it evolved? I think I had this argument with well, not an argument. I was sort of fed up with the festival after about sort of 3 or 4 editions because things weren't changing, and it seemed
Mm,
really that all North Korea wanted to do was have a festival and get as many international countries sort of coming in as many as they can, and that sort of tick the box. Okay, we've like any other country, any other socialist country, every other international country, we have a film festival, and we have this many countries,
mm,
almost like sort of like trying to get a bumper harvest. This is what we've done.
mm,
We've reached the requirements. What wasn't happening was the film festival wasn't improving as such. It was just the standard. People come, the film gets seen, but there was no interaction between the filmmaker and the public. So, and I had this argument with this lovely guy. What's his name? He died sadly. He was set up the Goethe Institute in North Korea at the time, and uh, gosh, my memory. But he said to me, look, you've got to keep going with the film festival, because what you've got to do is say to them that other festivals do this, but they also do this, this, and the other, and in a way create a situation where this our festival is slightly embarrassed by not having Q&As, etc. So that's what we've been
Mm.
doing recently. So try to not just have the festival and a whole load of films, but actually involve it so that filmmakers have an interaction, and of course the public then have an interaction with the filmmakers. And we did it the last festival, 2000 and I think 18 and 19. We had Q&As and questions were asked by the audience. So
That's
that's a massive
brilliant.
step. But has it
Wow.
changed a lot? Not really. I
Mm.
mean, it's a great big sort of Chollywood style of opening. There's a brass band, very much like you'd see, with a girl with one of those whirly things, and they all come on at the beginning. And you'll see photographs. I think you'll show them, but it's very glam. There's the actresses and actors there on stage, all in their best togs. It has
Mm.
sort of international sort of. It looks great, and that's improved. So it's now got that sort of, the sort of the Chollywood's, the bling attached to it, and
It's
there's a
got
dinner
the
where you get
no-go
all the
kitsch.
greats. Yeah, no, no, no. It's super. I mean, and then you go to a dinner and there's fantastic amounts of sort of various types of alcohol, from blueberry wine to soju, and everybody gets
Oh,
slightly.
blueberry wine.
Yeah, something magic about that drink. There's something in there that shouldn't be in there. But it's
Really?
uh yeah, no, there's some stories I can tell about that, but I'm probably
Yeah.
not for this
No,
podcast.
we'll
But
stay on focus.
it does unusual things to people.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, and then you get to meet, you go on a boat cruise with the actors and actresses, and then it's up to you to interact with them. So it's pretty
That's
cool.
fabulous.
Oh, it
So
is. Yeah.
is that boat cruise part of the festival experience? Is that just put on for tourists? Is that for all participants? Is that like a closing ceremony thing? What is the
That's
boat
sort of
cruise with
midway.
that?
They do
Okay.
an all they do sort of, basically they're entertaining you. You're given, like as if you're a tourist, if you're a filmmaker, you get two guides or a guide with you, and they follow you throughout the whole of the place. And there's a set itinerary, sights and scenes. But there's also things like, it's very sort of 1960s. Like you go to Taesung Park and there'll be a game of chase the balloon in teams, etc. So you have all
Yeah.
these rather doer sort of filmmakers who are sort of, oh, I'm a marvelous filmmaker, the noir and this, what have you, black and white scenes, and then they're running around chasing balloons, etc. But
I
it's
love that.
I mean, it's very North Korean in that way. Very
Yeah. Definitely. And just to go back to you saying about there being a kind of Q&A session, what films were during the Q&A session? I presume, were they North Korean films or were they
Mm.
foreign? They were
No,
foreign films.
there's very few North Korean films shown. I mean,
Okay. Yeah.
it is a film. I mean, they put one or two on. We put on a
Okay.
couple of films as well for the sort of,
Okay.
when we could take tourists, and that's
Yeah.
sort of stopped for the moment. But then yeah, we'd have a sort of separate itinerary going on alongside it. But for
Okay.
filmmakers, no, they get. I mean, they weren't, in some, in the early days, filmmakers weren't even allowed to see their film if it was at a certain cinema. It was only they were only
Wow.
allowed to go to the posh cinema, which was the
Mhm.
Yangakto International Cinema House. But now
Okay.
we got access to more of the more local cinemas. I mean,
Okay.
there's 14. I mean, with the last count, I think there were 14 cinemas in Pyongyang. That's not including the 3D cinemas, little small cinemas.
Mhm.
And so they get the film's shown, I think, through about eight of those. So there's a big access. That's why you get these large numbers if a film is popular. And there's a
Right.
sort of black market where, basically people will want your ticket, and I
Yeah.
people for Ben like be rush in and push people out their way and sitting on a
I
seat.
noticed that. My gosh, I was there for the last one in 2019, and this year was a big Bollywood thing. Like Bollywood was
Yeah.
massive. And for all the Bollywood movies, I went to two of them. And in one of the big cinemas in Pyongyang, it wasn't the Angakdo, it was another cinema. Can't remember the name of it, but it was another one of the big ones. And I had to literally fight my way through. You would
Yeah.
think that maybe they'd see like the only foreign girl and be like, let her in a little. I was fighting
Yeah,
my
no,
way
no, that's
through.
so nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
We talked about you.
Yeah, if people are watching online, you will notice a slight disturbance in that change in the character. My phone just overheated and
It's
died.
film editing
Um,
here. It's atrocious.
yeah. If you're listening in audio, you'd never know the difference if I were to just carry on with my story. So when I was in Pyongyang, yeah, I was being pushed and shoved when I got in, and to the point at which people were fighting over tickets, selling them on the side. And when I got into the theater, there was people sitting in the aisles, sitting on the floor down below, and that was also where I was expected to sit. Like there was no seats left. Obviously, then people got up and let me sit because they kind of had to.
That's
But
interesting because
I would.
I met a little boy just at that screening screaming that this sort of this English girl had pushed him out of seeing the first foreign film. Yeah, no, it's
Terrible, isn't
amazing.
it?
And
Terrible.
they literally sort of they flood the cinemas, and you have this sort of
Yeah.
one person trying to say no, Anne, trying to
Mm,
push everybody out, and there's just no
yeah.
way coming to watch this.
So
We
is
hope
it
to have
quite
some
an
Hollywood films again this year, so that should be fun.
yeah, nice.
But we're
And
really
is it
looking. I mean, people. It's basically the only opportunity the general sort of Pyongyang public get to see a foreign film. I mean, we
mm,
were very lucky in 2010 to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the sort of British embassy in North Korea, in DPRK, that we got Bennett Like Beckham screened throughout the whole broadcast on television. So that was an amazing thing. We did that with the British embassy and partly with the Ealing studio. And yeah, that was remarkable. But really, this is the only chance that a sort of a Pyongyang citizen will get to see something foreign. So if it's good, they want to see it. And of course, the film should be good. So we do have a lot of documentaries, but we have a dearth of feature films, of good fun feature films or interesting historical feature films.
mm.
That's a pity. So yeah, there is a shortage of the good stuff.
So I'm kind of wondering, because you mentioned two very interesting things there. We have to go back to Bennett like Beckham at some point. But firstly, I want to ask, how accessible is it? So this is a film festival where obviously you have, like a grand opening and closing ceremony. That's all in one space, and that's in the Yangakdo Cinema, which is very close to the Yangakdo Hotel, and that's all
Yeah,
very
not
grand and
always. I
things
mean,
like that.
the opening
Okay.
of Yangon, they also got another big cinema on the other side of the Taedong River, up by the youth hall, that big theater.
Okay. So presumably the opening and closing ceremonies and the big events like that are more exclusive and maybe harder to get a ticket to, presumably, or it may not be. But how easy is it to get a ticket? How accessible is it for the average Pyongyanger?
Yeah, for Pyongyang citizens for film tickets, it's like I said, if it's a popular film, it'll be difficult. If it's accessible, you'll and it's sort of so, or you're there early. You queue, you can see them queuing at
Hmm.
booths around the city. So to
Mm,
get to actually get to this opening closing ceremony, I'm not sure. I don't know whether you're invited as part of a group or whether you're sort of your Danway, your local sort of work unit
mm.
issues you a ticket. Not sure about that. The
Okay.
opening closing ceremonies are a little bit dull. I mean, they show
Yeah,
one,
this
just
kind of.
they're not sort of a bit glitzy for about 10 minutes,
Yeah.
then you're a bit bored of it. But yeah,
We're not talking, so I am shocked every time I go back to the cinema in Europe. I swear those prices rise with inflation like times a million. It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
15 euros for a cinema ticket last time I checked, which is probably a little bit too cheap at the moment. Anyway, but how expensive would it be in Pyongyang? I'm
I don't know
presuming
what the current
accessible to all.
prices. Current prices, I
Mm.
don't know, but I mean, normally for a cinema, so we actually ran for a period of time a cinema, and we're still involved
Hmm.
in that in a slight way, and that was $4 a ticket, and it could
Okay,
go up to $10. And for the festival, I think they're around $10. I'm not sure what
that's
this for
quite
this festival.
expensive.
Yeah. No, for a festival, for the international festival, yeah.
Yeah,
For normal
yeah.
tickets, no. And you'd also get your work unit to pay. And you also wouldn't go to the cinema in the evening. You'd actually take a day off work or afternoon off
Mm.
work. You get a stamp. You have to get a chop from your boss, and you go off. They don't. It's not like in Europe or the rest of the world where
Yeah,
you take your girlfriend for the evening. You normally, or you go in the work unit.
yeah.
So they go off.
Okay,
So
fair enough.
yeah, it's all relative. I mean, but yeah, prices. Yeah, if it's a popular film, and I think prices were yeah $10. That is expensive, very expensive.
Yeah. So it's definitely more a middle class kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Bend It Like Beckham. So, how did that make its way to DPRK, and why did it become so popular? And for those viewers or listeners that don't know, Bend It Like Beckham is a British film that is very sweet. I remember watching it when I was in primary school or early high school. That probably shows my age a little bit. Is it high school time, maybe?
Me too.
And just a lovely, sweet film, but it's not made history, and at least in British cinema, I wouldn't say. Why is it making history in the DPRK?
Yeah, it all starts with a guy, Sean Hinton, who was CEO of Ealing Studios, the famous studios that produce all these sort of classic British comedies and various. One of which, I think, in 2002, which was the Lavender Hill mob, he took to Pyongyang, and that was a sort of a story of a bank robbery that all goes a bit awry. And the lovely story, the anecdotal story, is that following the screening of that film, there was the first bank robbery in Pyongyang, where by someone who is slightly mentally incapacitated. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But Sean and I met in Pyongyang, and we then said, what else? As I said, well, have you got anything else sort of more contemporary? And at that time, Gurinder Chadha was the director, was making Bride and Prejudice, and she said, yeah, well, why don't you take our film Bend It Like Beckham. So in 2004, we took Bend It Like Beckham, massive hit. There's a lovely bit where we talked about this, where the audience go sort of go silence, because it's where the sort of coach says to her, look, either you play football your own dream, or you listen to your parents and you don't do it. And that was translated as follow the future idea, self
Oh,
destiny.
that's
So
so funny. That's so
and it was beautiful
funny.
because it was the whole thing. It wasn't subtitled. It was I had two actors at the front of the cinema, sort of reading it out. That was wonderful.
Which is fabulous. So
Yeah,
how did that play out? There was literally two Korean actors who were reading it out at the same time, and
yeah,
kind of,
exactly. Just over,
wow,
so the sound was dropped a touch, and
that's
yeah.
just
No, it's
amazing.
lovely, and because very often when you're watching a film, if you're watching the subtitles, you're also missing part of the film. I mean, here in
Hmm.
France, they actually subtitle films, which is great. In Italy, it's all dubbed, and you lose the character, I think, or or
Yeah, no, I
it's
can't be doing with
different.
dubbing.
But
Yeah,
so yeah, in North Korea, they're all for the festival. They're all subtitled, and
yeah.
then what happened is, so we showed the film that was massively popular. 12,000 people saw it, and then
Wow.
as I was saying, for the embassy, we managed to get it broadcast. So that was incredible, for that film to be seen throughout the country.
So
Was
then that must have
incredible.
been the first foreign film for normal North Koreans all over the country to be able to
Yeah,
see,
first
right?
and last. Yeah, sadly,
Yeah, right. Okay, there's been nothing since.
no, nothing like that.
Wow. Wow. That's incredible.
Oh, having said
That's
that, Comrade Kim Goes Flying, that was broadcast out of the country. But yeah, and as
excellent.
as
Yeah.
was actually the game of their lives. So that was
Okay.
our first
Go on. T
documentary on the football team.
Tell us a little bit about Comrade Kim Goes Flying and Game of Our Lives for a few minutes then.
Yeah, well, the Game of Their Lives was a film we shot with Dan Gordon, very much so production in 2002, and about the North Korean football team of 1966, who created the greatest shock in World Cup history by beating the Italians and getting to the quarterfinals. And the story was that they on their return home, they'd thrown their last match, and they were all arrested and sent to camp. So it was a fascinating story of trying to track down these players. And don't want to give too much away, but the players came to when we actually had the screening in Pyongyang, where they came to the premiere of that. And so yeah, that sort of that was a remarkable film that then the North Koreans obviously liked, because it was subject matter of them, beating this Italian team. That was broadcast throughout the country. And then we made a romantic comedy in 2013, 12, 13, and that was about a coal miner who wants to become a trapeze artist, a girl
Love it.
power film, and that was
Yeah.
also available first on DVD, well, for cinemas first, then DVD, and then also around cinemas around the whole country, and I believe broadcast as well.
Super. No, very good.
Also, like big
Uh,
advertising, ta 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 ta, available on Vimeo now.
Exactly. I will put in the show notes both of these
Thank
films.
you.
Honestly, they're really great films. I love them, and I've seen Comrade Kim Goes Flying in the Koryo Studio Cinema in
Yeah,
Yangon-do.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is that yeah? Is it still there? Are we talking about
It's
that
still
or
there. It's unfortunately because of the new sanction rules. It's sort of not our cinema anymore, but it's there. It's and we
got
will
it?
be going to the bar very shortly. That's great.
That
Yeah,
yes,
we not only
because
did up the cinema, we did up the bar adjoining it. So that's great. Where actually
that's
what's the name played?
fabulous.
Just
No,
Stone. Just
just
Stone.
Stone,
Just
just
Stone.
Stone. She played there. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
such
it's
a
just a
weird
sort of
story.
great place.
Um, yes. So yeah, because you're going there,
Yeah.
so you'll be going to the film festival, which is
Yes.
amazing. Very
Yeah.
jealous. I can't be there because I'm in Afghanistan, which
I
is
always
also
with
great.
Pyongyang, I always think, I never say I'm there until you're there because there's always that sort of,
Honestly,
hmm. We've all been there at the airport,
I'm
at the visa
considering.
office, and they go, no.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah,
I'm
I hope
considering
so.
everything
So
that's been happening.
I think with my
Excellent. And
colleagues Simon and Greg, we're all heading off.
a big party or without me. And how long will you be there for? Do you guys know what you'll be up
It's
to, what you're in for, or you have no
No,
idea?
22nd to 27th. I mean, the,
Hmm.
the great thing is, you see, so we went to Pyongyang for the marathon and met all the people we know are connected to the marathon. That was lovely. But because it's a visa issued by the Olympic Committee, you don't get to see your friends in the tourism industry and you don't get to see your friends in the film industry. They keep you
Mm.
separate. So now I'll be able to see all my friends who I haven't seen for 5 years, but have been on the phone with every month
Oh, yeah.
in Pyongyang. So that's going to be wonderful. But we're all 5 years sort of older and hair missing and bits and things. So that'll be the first. And Koreans are
Hey,
very blunt. They'll just say
oh,
you look
they are.
and old.
Oh my gosh, I hugged one of my very good colleagues at the airport, and it was like, oh my gosh, how did you get so chubby? And also, oh my gosh, how are you still
Thanks.
single? Like, literally, those were the first two things. How did you put on weight, and how are you still single? I'm
That's
like,
wow, yeah, that's yeah.
ladies,
Wow,
I
yeah. It
appreciate the
does,
honesty,
it
but
is, yeah, yeah, they're
hey,
class.
but if it's anything like the KITC guides, they will have not changed at all. Somehow we
No,
age so much, and they have de-aged,
no,
I swear.
they've got a special refrigerator they just go into.
Really? I have
Yeah,
no
no, no.
idea. Anyway, getting back on track. So, I'm wondering about the tastes of, the Koreans at these film festivals. Why Bend Like Beckham and why Bollywood? Like, why are these things popular? What kind of film do the Koreans usually like watching? I mean, obviously, it's very different to what they're used to being what to watching, but why do certain films get popular? What are the tastes of the average Korean that you've
Yeah,
noticed over
I
the
can't.
years?
I mean, I've seen numerous films. So Mr. Bean was for humor just blew
Mr.
them away.
Bean,
Mr. Bean, the
excellent.
disaster movie, which is actually set in America, and had the first sort of sidelong nude or something. Anyhow, that which was kept in, it surprised me.
Ooh.
And of course, Benny like Beckham sort of crosses into sort of homosexuality and various other
Hmm.
sort of all sorts of issues. But perhaps they're sort of, I think, through clever sort of subtitling, they avoid these sort of things and explain them away.
Mm.
But I think there is certainly different tastes among, like anywhere. But a good entertaining film is very popular. So this is why Bollywood
Mm.
films are so popular because for
Mm.
the boys it's pretty girls and pretty girls probably, and for the girls it's pretty boys and lots of dancing and singing. And of course, actually, every Korean likes singing. I'm sure I probably can't say that anymore, but there you are. But that's probably the reason why people go. It's not necessarily for the strong storyline. And Bendy Like
Right.
Beckham storyline. Great fun film, sort of opens people's minds and things. Bride and Prejudice is popular. There's all sorts. We've had a science films, sort of not science fiction, but there's a lovely Russian film, Sputnik, I think, which sort of went out, which
Mm.
is the rescue of one of the early space stations. Fascinating
Mm.
people. I mean, a variety just like anywhere else. Some people will like certain things, and as yeah, North Koreans are they vary from black to white. They some like comedy, some like
Absolutely.
some serious stuff. So there is,
Yeah, no,
but
absolutely.
yeah, I mean, you just don't get for the documentaries, you just get fewer people. Um,
Right.
it
Yeah.
tends to be so. They're the
And how about things like censorship and what is actually allowed? You'll notice it sometimes with Western films in China and things. If you ever use Chinese apps, then they'll take out certain scenes or just remove certain bits and things like that, that are a bit too raunchy or a bit too spicy. Is there anything like that that goes on
Oh
for
yeah,
films
definitely.
that are accepted into the film
Yeah.
festival, or is there films that are just not accepted flat out
Yeah, I think there's certainly
because of
films that are
censorship rules?
accepted flat out, absolutely. And then films with a little bit of raunchiness that can be sort of, I mean, they used to put up, literally sort of like put a sort of thumb like that in front of the projector during that bit, that part, so suddenly go dark. You can hear the voices.
A
But I think what
manual. That's
yeah,
excellent.
and for Bendy like Beckham, there were little bits supposedly cut out. I couldn't tell where they were, but I mean, it was pretty much the whole film. But again, what's being sort of the subtitling, they can change that to fit, the certain style of how they see it. The story should be told at that particular point.
I
So yeah, you won't the basic no sex scenes. I mean, just to give you an idea, in North Korea filmmaking, there's only once ever been a kiss, and that was supposedly behind an umbrella. I've never seen that scene yet. So, yeah, raunchiness, no. But yeah, I mean, when you look at Bollywood films, I mean, but the dance scenes, so they're there, they're allowed, and they're pretty, from what I'm
mm.
told, hot. But yeah, so
Yeah,
so
yeah,
so
yeah,
yeah, but no,
absolutely.
certainly, and violence. I mean, it's interesting. The new film in North Korea, which is a sort of a hatchet landing in someone's head, full on thing. So no, and there was actually a Swedish. I can't remember what the name of the film is. You have to put it out, but a Swedish sort of a horror movie sort of made the grade as well. So something surprised you. Hitler's Bunker, that was there.
Oh,
So there's all sorts of bits and pieces that would surprise you. And that's half the fun. At
okay.
some point I'll get a list out for you so you can see the films that have shown since 2002. But it's international, so
Yeah, I think we
we've
have it on
got
the
films
website
coming.
somewhere.
Yeah, no, we got films from Nepal coming. We've got films from Bangladesh, Iraq, Iran, everything. It's great.
Mm.
Russia, the whole lot. I mean, it's done under the banner of I think peace, friendship, and independence, and it's good. It's great. It's a very very good thing. I think sanctions or whatever. This is one of these the culture that unfortunately it does affect these sort of cultural events that where we actually have access to do something fairly strong to show a Korean public, but because of sanctions, etc., people are petrified of
Mm.
sending in films. So what you end up is with very little impact on the Korean people, and that's not, I think it's a great opportunity, sadly missed.
Absolutely. And honestly, when you put it like that as well, and when you consider just how isolated Korea has been for the past, especially 5 years with very little foreign contact, to be able to have an international film festival like this over, like, sure, we've had the marathon, that's a run through the streets, right? But when you're talking about an extended period of time of, a few days of film festival and also Koreans just being exposed to the new films and things like that from literally all over the world. It's really quite incredible. And these filmmakers, who have films accepted, they'll also be there as well. So
Yeah.
it's just a really incredible time for
No, you're
for
absolutely right. It's
engagement.
yeah, I think it's one of these things that should be massively supported, but unfortunately, everyone's
Mm.
scared to death of sending in the film in case it upsets sort of their distributors, and most of the big films have American distributors, so the films
Right.
don't get sent.
And so you've noticed that with this year of
Yeah,
applications around,
yeah,
because you helped to facilitate the applications, right? And so that's been something that you've noticed is that
yeah.
people
We've
are
had films
worried about,
withdrawn and all sorts. Yeah, yeah.
okay, and
I
that's
mean, it's
due to them.
understandable. With the situation in the way of the world at the moment, I understand that. But this is such an amazing opportunity really by not sending films, it's a one step back as opposed to sort of look we're showing them because this does go to the Pyongyang public.
Absolutely. I mean, I always kind of argue that in terms of North Korea tourism as well, is that, if you're worried about things, if you're worried about um a lot of the stuff that a lot of people worry about, then you're almost taking one step back by not going and isolating the nation
Yeah,
further.
I think so. I'm
Um,
also a great believer in serendipity. You don't know what impact. Well, if someone's eventually given a choice, and if they haven't been shown that choice, they're not going to make that choice. It's as simple as that. And many times, I sort of, this isn't sort of, Hollywood sound bites like, oh, engagement, it's lovely to do. But we've actually seen the impact of that on the ground. It's allowed us to make, three very big documentaries, other film projects, humanitarian aid, etc. It's the only way you're going to get access. So
yeah,
yeah, I'm very pro engagement.
yeah, no, and with Koryo Studio and Koryo Tours over these over 30 years now, you've done an absolutely fabulous job.
It's informing people, allowing people to be informed. What they do with that information is up to them.
That's very good. Yes.
Cool.
Okay, before we run out of time, and before I steal too much of your time, um, just what you said before about films being shown and the filmmaker being there and having a question and answer session. I'm very interested to know if you can remember off the top of your head, what kinds of questions the Koreans might have asked, and which films was it for?
I only really remember one, which was
Hmm.
which was again, which is for Comrade Kim Goes Flying, and so we're up there on the stage, and this there's two lovely stories of this. There's one is from a South Korean and one is from a North Korean. The North Korean, a lady stood up and said, "On the bus, are those her shoes?" I thought, God, that's a very weird. Are they the actress's real shoes? And what it
Hmm.
is that you notice that in farms that if you go to sort of the cooperative
The
farms.
the blue shoes with the white rubber at the
No,
at the
it's
bottom.
they actually
Oh,
have secondhand shoes there. So some people have shoes that you sort of take for best, and then you sort of can borrow or buy, I think. So it was, were these posh shirts. She changed from the blue pumps, and she
yes,
slips them
yes.
onto sort of a pair of sort of black sort of pointy shoes with a bit of heel. And this was, were they hers? And so it's a very bizarre question, but sort of made more sense when you realize that there was this idea that she could have picked them up at the farm store. So, because these were, shoes that would be only really be available from Pyongyang. So, did she do that? So that was quite a confusing one, but an interesting one. And just general questions about, the actors. There's one of their very favorite heroes was is in the scene, so he's back, and one of them said he's looking a lot older now, and it's not really a question and answer, but Hong Kim Dong sort of. So that's obviously that's that. Yeah, that's what
Again,
happened
no,
today.
they're just so
That's the Ri Yong
straightforward.
Ho is the actor. He was absolutely adored in. There's a lovely film Hong Kil Dong just before the collapse of the Soviet sort of world
Mm,
in '89 in Poland. He became the massive hero and in Poland he's just known and loved. And then the other
so
one
yeah.
was, I suppose, one of the best questions I've ever had was we in Busan Film Festival showing Comrade Kim, and it was the first time it was shown a film had ever been shown to a public audience. So it's the first time in South Korea a North Korean film shown to a public audience as opposed to an invited audience. And a guy stood up and we were waiting. Oh God, here we go. How can you make propaganda? La la la. And he just stood up and said, "It's nice to know that grandmothers in the north. Sorry, it's nice to know that mother-in-laws in the north are the same as they are in the south." And that was one.
That's really
Yeah, so very
sweet.
special. So
That's
the film
wonderful.
transcends, it's
Yeah. And it just goes to show the sentiment of which, wherever I travel, doesn't matter whether it's North or South Korea or Afghanistan and North Korea, people are more the same than they are different,
yeah.
I always find. And how about the reactions of Korean audiences? If you've ever observed that over the years, has there been any striking reaction or any surprising reaction that you've noticed to any foreign films that you've seen?
I think the biggest reaction, and I've got a photograph that I'll send you, and you'll see it. It's
Mm,
three photographs, and I just left behind as people were watching Mr. Bean. And in Korea, if you laugh, it's often put as a woman, you put your hand over your mouth, or you
Same in
don't. But
Japan.
these
You
lot
have to be
were
very demure.
bursting out. It just uncontrollable. I mean, it's slapstick sort of, Mr.
Oh,
Bean. comedy.
They
But
love
they
it.
loved it. I don't need to say anymore. You just need to see the photographs. So it's just wild. And then when they come
Oh
out,
my gosh.
back to the normal straight face, whatever. So it's a release, and which is what cinema is anywhere. It's an
Mm.
escape.
Send
But
me send me that photo. I'll try and put it up on the screen for those that
I
are
will do.
watching on video. It sounds excellent. Very just human. Very
Yeah,
human.
yeah, very human.
And is there any like kind of standout memory from the past from a past festival?
Oh,
Anything like an audience reaction, a screening that went well unexpectedly or went badly unexpectedly, or a moment that stands out for you? Anything like that?
yeah, the whole thing is that it's the whole experience is so you can't really explain it. It is the most unusual film festival. In 1 minute, in one way, you're sort of treated like a kid because you're just dragged around everywhere. It's not, if you go to a normal film festival, you're going to meet filmmakers. I mean, that's interesting, meeting your own filmmakers. But the experience you're having in Pyongyang, like any time you go to Pyongyang, is probably the most unusual experience you're going to have unless you're on the moon. So it's in itself it's remarkable. I mean, every element in it is remarkable. Nothing stands out at the moment. I mean, we did. I suppose one of the lovely thing we did was we had an after party for Comrade Kim Goes Flying, and that was premiered in Pyongyang. And we had all the actors and actresses together, and our Han Jong Sim and the girl who plays Comrade Kim, and Ri Yong Ho, the actor there, and it was like a real after party. And Koreans, smoking and drinking and having fun
Oh
is what they
yeah.
is what they like. And so
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
that was fun. And then as we left the cinema, that's the thing I suppose that interesting is, they do have in North Korea, people know actors and actresses. They do have stars, and
Right.
they're sort of
And
held in respect. People
yeah.
acknowledge, and you see that, see their friends go, oh look, it's Ryung Ho, it's what's it, and
Did you
that's
ever see a North Korean ask an actor for their autograph? Is that something that
yeah,
they
no,
do?
that's happened. Well, the most beautiful thing, I mean, better than an autograph, was with Comrade Kim. She's actually a trapeze artist, and we when we auditioned, we wanted to have an actress rather, in that, but in fact realized that if we're going to also film someone on the trapeze, it's probably not good to put an unexperienced actress sort of 30 foot in the air and watch her fall to her death. So we trained this acrobat, but for a long time she was 31 or so. We'd taken her to Italy, and she was still single because she's working so hard, and then she's one of the girls on the bungees
Gosh.
in the mass games who does that massive flight across the whole of the
Yeah.
on an elastic bungee. Instead of dropping downwards, it's long ways.
Yep.
And she survived, but was never married. And then because of the film, a guy waited for her at the back door and said, "I've seen you on the film. Can I walk you home?" And a year later, she was pregnant and
No.
had a baby.
No. To
Yeah,
that
so
guy?
we did that.
Oh
That's the
my
best
gosh.
thing. So
That is
yes,
the
so film
sweetest
does, yeah.
courting. Oh my gosh.
And
That's
then also
so
there's a
sweet.
massive intake, of kids wanting to join the circus. Don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it was fun. So yeah, film is powerful. Film influences people, and those are first-hand experiences.
Film
Yeah,
finds you a husband.
film
My
finds
gosh.
your husband.
Can I act in your next movie?
So yeah.
Excellent. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, maybe in our last 5 or 10 minutes or so, we can talk a little bit about the practicalities of it, like how are films selected, and how does a filmmaker submit a film, and then I understand that once a film is accepted, then the filmmaker is allowed to go as well to the film festival, invited to the film festival. Are any actors or any part of the film also invited? A little bit about the logistics.
Yeah, so if for next year, if you've got a film or you know of anyone with a film, and preferably a feature film as opposed to a documentary or a short, I mean, or an animation, they're all accepted. It's just a good feature film is really what the audience, I think it's what the film festival want, because otherwise it looks more like a documentary film festival, and features are, also what the public like. Again, it's storytelling. So you first of all, yeah, you send in an application, and it can be your film or someone else's film, and make sure they put you down as the second person, because as an assistant or what have you. because on the form that allows you, if it's the film's accepted, two members of the film. So that would be director or producer or an actor or an actress. I'd love to have them come along. And then you can also sort of get in as a, sort of someone who made the coffee for the film. If you're a filmmaker yourself, yeah, just come in, bring a member of the crew. You don't get your international flights paid, as I said earlier. But you get all your landed costs. So there's no cost once you've paid your flight and your visa, you're in, and it's the week of your life. But so yeah, it's a basic form back to us. I'm sort of taking applications now, although officially it doesn't open till July. But we'll happily sort of, if films are being made now or close to finishing, send us the forms. And then basically you get yourself to Beijing. We will help as best we can. It's a little bit confusing, so that's one thing we're very good at, is getting you to Beijing and then to the embassy, where you'll get your visa put into your passport, and you will be then just need your Air Koryo flight and you're away. So when you arrive in Pyongyang, this is a sort of interesting thing, is that there is one DCP projector. This is a digital sort of cinema projector, which can be, it's basically like a hard drive, but it's a way of protecting your film. In North Korea, we've only got one. There's only one DCP, which we took in years ago before sanctions. So that's awkward, because also taking a DCP into China is very difficult. So the Koreans are now saying, send us movie files, whatever. But of course, filmmakers don't like sending unprotected files. So this is a very difficult situation that we will be speaking to them about. But yeah, at the moment we do screeners with the old-fashioned way, with watermarks on them, or part of the film missed out, so it's not the whole thing. But that is an issue, getting films to them, because sanctions plus Korean's own limitations. We actually are screening films by Vimeo, so our colleagues in Pyongyang will actually be able to see a film for the first time on their own through Vimeo, but that's only one screening. It then has to be sent around the other members of the committee. So it's not ideal, but it means that the film will be accepted that way. It's difficult. They haven't sort of modernized, caught up with the world has moved on digitally, the way you can protect your film now. So it's tricky.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And
it's pretty simple, pretty simple process. If they like your film and you want to go, you go.
easy. Yeah. And the people in Pyongyang, there's a committee who then decides what film is accepted, and obviously who wins,
Yeah.
is there first,
So
second, third, the prizes, things like that, and the
yeah,
ceremony at the end
there's
they're awarded.
prizes for different, there's different categories of prizes, etc. Best director, best music, best movie, best documentary, short film, etc. There's a whole list of that stuff. So that's quite fun if you win something. We won the best director. It's great. I haven't got all I've got is a sort of blow up North Korean rocket behind me. But I have got somewhere along the line.
Is
I've got
that as a gift that you got, or what?
no, you can buy those. They're classic. I think that's a very harmless rocket. If it lands on you, it just sort of
Harmless.
anyhow. But no. So there's also the international jury turns up. So one of our friends, Brigitte, is going to be on that, and they will be judging the films along with a North Korean. So the jury is
Ah,
international. It's not a North Korean
okay. Okay.
jury. So that's so but the committee who decides the film is purely Korean, and then the jury
Okay.
is international and will judge it. And
Very
we've
interesting.
sent quite a few judges. So if you want to if you have a film background and interested in being a judge, that's also a possibility. I mean, it's hard
Have you
work.
ever been a judge before?
No, and I don't want to be. Uh,
No, it's
no,
not fun.
no fun. But no, I mean they're actually they wouldn't accept me. And they want film, film academic.
Okay.
Yeah, people
Okay.
with very
Yeah.
solid film background, not just
Yeah.
filmmakers. So
Fair enough.
yeah, it's a difficult job, and
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't doubt it. Okay, my last question for you. Is there any insider knowledge you can give us on what we might expect to see in the Pyongyang Film Festival, International Film Festival for 2025?
Uh, yeah, I've actually, oh, God, that reminds me, I've got actually, we've already, some films have been accepted.
Okay.
Um, But no, I'm not going to say anything. No, because it's on the job. Oh, and then
Done.
yeah, sorry. It's no, I'm not going to tell you this. But if anyone is listening and still hanging on the end of this podcast, it's up to you basically to find us a decent film. So next year, I've been speaking to a
Mm,
few people and
mm.
who made some classics, and next year could be a big, big, big one with
Okay.
classic two films from Britain made in the 80s by someone we took to North Korea recently and made a documentary with. So I won't say,
No
but we're trying. We're
way.
trying hard to get one of
That
the
would
films.
be
Yeah,
amazing.
but
Okay, I won't
we'll see. So
like
yeah, we'll see what the situation is, and it's all to do with.
I won't say the name here, but if you've been listening to this podcast and if you follow anything about North Korea, you'll probably know what we're talking about. So that's very
Yeah.
exciting.
So
All
so
right.
we'll see. Maybe
Super.
we'll do a sort of a quick sort of 10 minute. So we'll make a little a feature thing so you can show that of what it was
That
like to
would
be at the festival. The
absolutely.
camera
Yes,
in
you'll
its
have
vertical
to.
position, as Zoe tells me. Wobble camera.
Well, I'll have one of you on vertical, one of you on landscape, and we'll
Oh,
hopefully
okay,
put
that's good.
something on YouTube as well. All right. Anything you want to plug or say for the last 30 seconds?
No, I mean, yeah, this thing again is it is members of the public who you will know a filmmaker or know someone who will know a filmmaker and put the word around because yeah, and then hopefully next year if tourism opens, you can also come yourselves and
Hey.
we'll do a tour around it, which is
Yeah.
yeah, interesting. Thank you very
Excellent.
much.
Well,
Thanks for
thank you so
listening.
much for coming on the podcast, Nick.
Cheers, Zoe. Lots of love.
Yeah.